We're going to go ahead and start the second portion of our sentencing and punishment lecture. The second portion of this is we're going to talk about the purposes of punishment. So today what we're going to see is the four big purposes of punishment in our judicial system are going to reflect a lot of things about our society, actually. Now, let me go ahead and just kind of start with this. As far as our society is concerned, we do in fact see ourselves as considerably more enlightened. We are going to see ourselves as a more advanced society than human societies of the past. And it's our justice system that's going to reflect these things. Now, you kind of have to imagine how these systems of justice and punishment have evolved over thousands and thousands of years of human progress. What we're going to talk about first today is going to be retribution. Now, for retribution, what we're going to see is this is actually something that's almost the foundation of justice systems for thousands of years, where retribution really states that we want an eye for an eye. We want to be made whole again. If someone, in fact, hurts us or our family, either physically, financially, emotionally, etc., we want a system in place to make things right. Now, of course, it used to be thousands and thousands of years ago that if someone committed a wrong against you, you simply would go get revenge against them. Now, that's on an individual basis. What our system is going to do is actually reflect that in a certain way. So this picture that I have for you guys here is going to be of the case of the Michigan State University athletic trainer, Larry Nassar. You might remember this story. This was several years ago. Larry Nassar was an athletic trainer at Michigan State that sexually abused multiple women over many, many years. And in fact, it wasn't even just confined to Michigan State. He was an athletic trainer at multiple areas, including U.S. Olympians. And he sexually assaulted them. I believe it went on for 20 plus years until finally people came forward and made statements and produced evidence of what he had done. This person that you can see kind of jumping over the table is in fact one of the fathers of one of the girls who was sexually assaulted by this former athletic trainer. And you can see in the picture that there's law enforcement there to stop him. And the reason why this is because our justice system really does take that revenge out of the hands of individuals and it puts it in the hands of society. It puts it in the hands of the state. So in this particular instance, you can see that this angry father wants his own revenge against Larry Nassar. He attacks him during the court proceedings and he's stopped by law enforcement. Now, this kind of reflects really this idea of retribution in our criminal justice system is going to take the power of revenge out of the hands of this individual father and put it in the hands of society. Larry Nassar is going to get his trial. He is going to get all the protections that come with it, and he's going to be found guilty. Now, when he's found guilty, he's sentenced to multiple years in prison as a punishment for what he did. This takes that power out of the hands of individuals and it gives it to society. So in our criminal justice system, it's really society, it's the state that takes on the role as the punishers. Now, the next purpose for punishment is going to be deterrence. Now, again, as we look at deterrence, you can kind of look at this in a couple of different ways. So first off, what deterrence suggests is the punishment is going to deter offenders from actually committing the crime. Where if you can see what the punishment is for committing a crime, perhaps you think again about committing that crime. Where maybe if the punishment is so harsh that it's not worth committing that crime, you don't even do it. Now, like I say, you can look at this in a couple of different ways because yes, I would say that in society, people look at the consequences of their actions and they make choices. They evaluate the pros and the cons. So I always kind of use the example of robbing a bank. Well, if there's no punishment for robbing a bank, then everyone would do it. The fact that there is a punishment in place deters people from doing that. So there are some real easy connections to make between the potential punishments and not committing the crime. Now, if you look at sort of the other side of this, you can make an argument too saying that, well, if these punishments are so severe, then why do people still commit the crimes? What this is really suggesting is that, yes, there is deterrence, but how far does it go? There are plenty of people that make the argument about the death penalty, even referring back to the previous lecture about how, Well, the death penalty is the most strict kind of punishment that there can be. The state can take your life away if you commit first degree murder, but people still commit first degree murder. So, how big of a deterrent is the death penalty? Now, you can kind of expand that logic to really any kind of level of deterrence in our system and say that, well, maybe it's not that big of a deterrent because people still do it. But we have to have these in place so that, in fact, others can see or others can be made an example of. If you commit this crime, this is the punishment that will take place. Now, third is incapacitation. Now, this is kind of the most physical, the most overt kind of reason for punishment that we have in our system. What incapacitation is really saying is just that we're going to remove this person from society and hold them in prison. We are going to keep 24-hour watch on them. They'll be removed from society because of the crime that they committed. And while that person is in prison and removed from society, then they're no longer a threat to that society. So by holding them in prison, you are truly removing them and keeping them away from others that are obeying the laws. So incapacitation, like I say, it's really the most overt kind of purpose of our judicial system because you are physically removing someone from society. You are taking that threat out of society. Now, last one is rehabilitation. Now, I always kind of save this for last because it goes back to really where we started this. It looks at our society as an enlightened society, as one that is, in fact, more evolved from societies of hundreds and even thousands of years previously. It used to be the purpose of punishment in other societies was to simply remove these people, to hold them in jail for the rest of their lives, for it to have no opportunity to ever change, to ever rehabilitate. Our society today, you could make the argument that rehabilitation really is the focal point of our justice system, where the idea that these people that have been convicted of a crime can change, that we are going to hold them for X amount of time and hopefully change their behaviors so that we can once again one day return them to society so that they still have a future, that they can become productive members of society. Now, how to go about doing this can take several different forms. So I will tell you. One way that people view rehabilitation is that it gives someone convicted of a crime time to think and to ponder and to potentially change who they are, to do inner reflection really, and think about what they've done that got them into that position. But there's another kind of side to this where if you come out of prison and we hope that you are simply a changed member of society, well, there's going to be a problem with that. In that now that you're a convicted felon or you have this permanent issue on your record, who's going to in fact trust this person in a job or in a position of government or anything really? So we want to provide them opportunities to change their lives. Now you can see here in the picture that I provide, this is a person that was convicted of a crime that in fact took an opportunity while in prison to better his life. He's going to enroll in an online university, and he's going to study for his bachelor's degree while he's in prison. Now, once he gets out of prison, he's now a college graduate. He's put himself in a position where now he is considerably in a much better situation than when he was when he went to prison. This is really kind of one of the foundations of the idea of rehabilitation, that while you're in prison, you can better yourself, that you can change your life through education and through counseling, and so that you don't return to prison. There is kind of a caveat that goes with this, though. A controversial issue is that if you're going to allow these people that are in prison to enroll in online universities, it's going to cost a great deal of money. University isn't cheap. It costs a lot. It's thousands and thousands of dollars per class. In some states, the taxpayers are paying for these convicted individuals to, in fact, get their college degree. Now, this is where really the issue comes in here. The controversial side of this is there are people who are paying for their own college degree who didn't commit a crime. So as you look at it from the other side of it, you have taxpayers paying for criminals to get a college degree, where people who are not criminals are paying for it themselves. Now, again, like I say, this is the controversial part of this, but you have to look at rehabilitation as a way to change someone's life, to fix the mistakes that they've made in the past, and to hopefully come out of prison and, in fact, in a better situation in which they were, in hopes of changing their lives for the better. Now, this is going to conclude the second of two pieces of our sentencing and punishment lecture series.